to Mysteries and Mimosas. Thank you for listening. I'm Max, and with me, as usual, is my co-host, Aria Heartbreaker Sterling.
Thanks. Hi, everyone.
You like that?
Yeah.
That's my new nickname for you.
All right.
Aria the Heartbreaker.
Okay.
I could also change it to Aria the Dream Smasher.
Ooh, that's not very nice.
No, you're not. So that's why I called you the Heartbreaker.
I don't think I'm either, but...
Oh, no, you're a heartbreaker. Anyway, before we get started, I'm not even going to attempt to plug my Discord server, Mystery Max, where people can interact with me at any time with access to Discord at the tip of their fingers using either their handheld mobile device or a computer. Not going to do that.
Wow, thanks for not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since I'm not willing to talk about my Discord Mimosa Max server anymore, you can help us out by giving our show a good rating and subscribing. You can also help us out by telling your family and your friends about us, and even your enemies if you still talk to them. Just help us out. Spread the love, spread the word. You can find us on Instagram at Mysteries and Mimosas Podcast. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. I'm dabbling in the TikTok videos.
Yeah.
That was hard to say.
Yeah, that's a mouthful. No, you've been doing a really good job. I'm proud of you. With the videos.
I'm trying. Yeah, I'm doing my best, which is subpar. Anyway, any attention you give us helps us immensely. And as usual, I have before me a list of trivia questions from the year of 2021. It's fairly recent. I think I have a lot of faith in you today. And
wow,
remember,
that's kind. Usually you're...
Well, it's recent. So, yeah.
I know, but usually you like to give me a hard time.
Oh, no. I would never give the Heartbreaker a hard time. The idea behind our trivia segment is to mentally bring you back to the year of the crime by running Aria through a few easy, maybe one tough trivia questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, question number 1. You sure you're ready?
Yes.
Let's do it. I'm going to read it now.
Can I, do I get, a helpline? Like, I can phone a friend or...
The
50-50?
Do you have any friends to phone?
Ooh, that's hurtful.
I'm sorry.
I mean, you're one to talk.
I know,
Nobody
I
even
don't
wants
have
to join your Discord.
Do you even have a Discord? I'm a leg up on you.
But if I had one, I guarantee you I'd have more followers than you.
You know what? Let's test that theory. I'm going to make you one. By Mystery Monday, you will have access to Aria's Discord server. We'll see. Nobody's going to talk to you either. I don't think anybody does Discord.
All right. We'll see.
But thanks for the plug. Okay, question number 1. Who was the first billionaire to launch himself into space on July 11th of 2021?
Jeff Bezos.
Wrong.
Oh, Elon Musk?
Nope.
Oh.
But you know what? Elon, not in 2021, but Elon did send a roadster into space.
I do remember
which I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay, well then, was it Bill Gates?
Do you really think Bill Gates is in any condition to launch himself into space?
I'm just thinking of all the billionaires.
Well, I say you missed out on that one. His name is Richard Branson.
Oh, wow.
You don't remember him launching up into
No.
space, coming back down? No?
I
It was all over
don't.
the news. It was awesome.
Oh.
Okay, well, failure number 1. I mean, question number 1 in the books. In the year 2020, the Olympics were delayed until 2021. Which country hosted the 2020 Olympics in the year 2021?
Was it China?
It was not China.
Japan.
It was Japan.
Yeah, I
they
was
were
debating
hosted
between
in
the two.
Tokyo.
I couldn't remember.
Man, I had a lot of faith for you. We're not off to a good start. That's okay. This is the final question, but it is a 2-part question, and I know this is right up your alley. In April of 2021, Queen Elizabeth II's husband and the Duke of Edinburgh passed away. First part of the question, what is his name?
Was it Patrick?
Okay, I'm going to re-ask this. In April of 2021, Queen Elizabeth II's husband and the Duke of Edinburgh passed away. First part of the question, what was his name? And the second part of the question, how old was Prince Philip when he died?
Oh, well, thank you. So it's Philip. And wasn't he 99?
He was 99.
Yeah.
Man, you know what? It was a very valiant effort on your part. So despite your massive failure, I am still going to give you a full point for the last question. So you know what? You got 33.33%.
Okay, stop calling it a massive failure.
Okay, well, what would you call it?
A failure. You don't have
Yes.
to add the adjective massive to make me feel worse.
Okay, well, let me apologize for the word massive failure. I'll give you another question. And if you can get this question right, you will redeem yourself and I will call you a raving success. Fair?
Thank you. Fair.
In 2021, who was named the Time Magazine's Person of the Year?
Elon Musk.
It was Elon Musk. Very good. Very proud of you. Congratulations. You are a massive success.
No, that's not what you said.
What did I say?
Raving.
Raving success. You are a raving success. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Aria the Heartbreaker Sterling wins trivia with her redemption question. Okay, moving on. Next order of business. Anytime we have mimosas and talk mysteries, we enjoy our mimosas out of our dragon glassware glasses. If you haven't seen them, take a look at our Instagram. There we have pictures of our mimosas in the dragon glassware. And if you like them and you want to purchase them, just head on over to dragonglassware.com and enter the promo code Mysteries and Mimosas Podcast, where they will give you 10% off your order. You know, I just have to give props to Dragon Glassware because we reached out to them just saying, hey, would you sponsor us? Would you do anything for us? You know, we would like to promote your glass because we think it's cool. Before we even aired an episode, before we even had an episode thought out. And they said, absolutely. So props to them. Okay. With that, what is the mimosa recipe that we are going to drink out of these phenomenal glasses?
Today's recipe is from crazyforcrust.com.
Crazy for crust?
Crazyforcrust.
Oh, crazy. I thought you said crazy for crust.
Wow.
It should be crazy for crust. That would be like an East Coast company.
Well, it's a Hawaiian mimosa. You add 1 ounce of coconut rum and 2 ounces of pineapple juice to a champagne glass, and then top it with champagne and garnish with pineapples and cherries.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like, well, that would be Hawaiian. It almost has like a Mai Tai twist. It's delicious. Mm-hmm. I'm liking it.
Good.
Okay.
I thought it was a good one to kind of kick off summer.
Yeah, I'm loving summer.
Summer loves you.
Well, thank you. Okay, today's case is certainly a mystery, and I'm just going to tell you, it is a little bit short. There is not a ton of information on this because it is a high-profile case, which is why we didn't want to do it on Mystery Monday, because Mystery Monday, we really like to captivate cases that aren't well-known, but since this is a high-profile case with not a lot of information, this is going to be a shorter episode. So for that, I apologize, but I do want to put this out there because it is very bizarre. So on September 21st at about 7 a.m., police and fire were dispatched to a structure fire on Trails End Drive in Belmont, Ohio. During the course of their investigation, police found the murdered bodies of husband and wife Tom and Angela Strussion inside. Since the discovery of the double homicide, Belmont County Sheriff Dave Lucas said the autopsy results would not be made public as it is a critical piece of their investigation.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's things that only the killer is going to know, and so they don't want to put that information out there, right? I mean, yeah, they want to keep that kind of close to the vest until they have a person of interest or a suspect or something like that. Right.
And when I do investigations, you know, I'm a very transparent person, and so whether it's you know, a victim calling me and asking questions or an attorney of a suspect asking questions, I don't ever shy away from information if I know that it's okay to release. Because if it's not going to jeopardize the integrity of my investigation, I don't think that there's any need to really hold everything close to your vest. There are times when you have to, though. And like you just mentioned, if there's information that only a killer would know, you obviously want to keep that close to your vest because that might be something you can use to vet a confession, for instance, to say, well, okay, well, if you do, because, you know, you hear of people giving false confessions. And so that's just one example of where you would want to keep that information confidential because you can kind of fact check people when they tell you things.
Right, exactly.
So, married to Angela, Tom was known for his love for feeding people. He started a food business by catering through a business in Fort Worth, Texas by the name of Tommy Boy's Barbecue. Also a really good movie if you haven't seen Tommy Boy.
I love that movie.
Eventually, Tom and Angela opened a restaurant in Arlington, Texas called Salsa Joe's Tex-Mex Smokehouse. They had aspirations to open another location in Mexico. But after Tom's mother died, they sold the restaurant in Arlington and relocated to Belmont, Ohio, where they opened 2 more Salsa Joe's. One was in Belmont, and they opened another one in West Virginia.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So just 7 days after the discovery of their murdered bodies inside the burned home, investigators made 2 arrests, but not for the murders of Tom and Angela. According to Sheriff Lucas, investigators arrested Anthony Michael DeBacco and Miana Malin Smith of Bel Air, Ohio. Bel Air is only about 30 minutes away from Belmont to the east, so the duo lived relatively close to Tom and Angela.
Okay, so why were they arrested?
Well, I think it's important to mention here that they've never been suspects or named suspects in the case. But Anthony and Miana were arrested for extortion after detectives uncovered a plot to extort Tom. It was later revealed Tom paid the couple $25,000 to keep them quiet about an affair Tom had with Miana.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yikes, $25,000.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I mean, according to the news article that I read, Tom already paid them $25,000. So I don't know if that was the only amount that they extorted him for or tried to get more. But I would venture to guess, and I don't know this to be true, when they started looking into things with Tom and Angela's murder, they probably uncovered, cell phone text messages, information maybe in emails, because they're looking for a suspect and they're looking for clues and they stumble across this. Well, they can't ignore this, obviously, so they made an arrest on the 27th. Now, this double homicide, happened on the 21st.
Wow,
yeah. So they made an arrest fairly quickly.
That was quick. So, it had to have been while they were looking through everything else, they happened upon that information that nobody knew anything about.
Right. And if anybody listening doesn't know what extortion is, at its simplest core element, it is basically blackmail, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't do this, then I'm going to do that. And so in this case, they blackmailed Tom for $25,000 because he allegedly was having an affair with Miana. As if this case wasn't weird enough, in July of 2023, so just last year, one of Tom's previous business partners was reported missing out of Pottawatomie County in Oklahoma. Crazy, right?
Right. So he was a former business partner. I'm curious.
Of Tom's.
Right, but I'm curious if after Tom's death, did he still own the businesses? Or
that I don't know, but I would guess not, because he's now, 2 years later, living in Oklahoma. His name is Andrew Isaac Griffin, and he was last seen leaving a family member's home in Shawnee, Oklahoma. He departed in a company truck headed for a job in Odessa, Texas, but Andrew never arrived. 4 months later, on October 8th of 2023, Andrew was arrested in Houston after he was found deboarding a plane that arrived from Honduras. However, Andrew wasn't arrested for the double homicide. Instead, he was arrested for outstanding warrants out of LaFleur and Oklahoma County. So he was never listed as a suspect either.
So do you know what the warrants were for, by chance?
Kidnapping and domestic violence.
Ah, okay.
In 2022, the Strussion family and the Belmont County Sheriff's Office has since received help from the Cold Case Investigative Research Institute to aid in the investigation. In operation since 2004, the Cold Case Investigative Research Institute is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting law enforcement agencies solve cold cases. Since bringing them on to assist in the investigation, a deep DNA extraction from the scene was conducted, but as of now, no results have been revealed. And I don't know if no results have been revealed because there are no results, or no results are revealed because they're also keeping that information confidential.
Right.
Cheryl McCollum, the director of the Institute, walked through the crime scene and said this: After seeing the scene and seeing those beautiful homes up on the hill and the viewpoint of the neighbors of the entrances and exits, I don't think there's any question on some level they could have known the perpetrator. So, I know it's a little confusing for me to read a little bit, but she's saying there's a high likelihood that the perpetrator is known to them, which, depending on how they were murdered, yeah, I mean, we don't know because there's no autopsy result. You can kind of tell, I guess you could profile whether they're known or not. But for some reason, she thinks most likely the perpetrator is known to them.
Well, yeah, I mean, that makes sense because I don't know if the home was burglarized or anything was taken, but what other motive, I mean, would they have if they didn't know the person? Just to go in and murder two people and set the house on fire? Other than if they were like burglarizing it or something.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anything, right? I mean, it could be somebody known to them. I mean, they're not suspects, but it is suspicious that these two were arrested for extortion during the course of this investigation. And I don't want to speculate or anything about that. I think that if they did it, they're going to, wrap that up pretty quickly, I would think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could be somebody known to the family, like the people who extorted them. I'm not saying they're suspects, but it also could be somebody that just maybe was burglarizing the house, like you said, and Angela and Tom walked in and found them, and, who knows, a struggle ensued. There is a quote somewhere I read that I believe it was from Cheryl McCollum that said that the bodies were found in the bedroom. So what I'm thinking is most likely she's right. It is probably somebody known because, the fire was called in at 7 a.m. in the morning, which means probably it happened sometime in the very early hours. By the time, smoke gets, discovered and people see that there's a fire and then they respond and everything, it probably happened, between 5 and 6:30. So to me, that was a planned out crime where somebody broke in. If they're in their bedroom, they probably took them by surprise when they were still sleeping. We don't know what the murder weapon is. We don't know if they were strangled or, stabbed or shot. We don't know any of those details because they're keeping it confidential. So that's why I say this is a very high profile case because they, several years later, they don't have anybody in custody. They don't have any suspects named. But they have done a lot of interviews. They've done a lot of investigative work. And the sheriff is dedicated to saying this is not going to be a cold case. This one will be solved. So it tells me that they're still diligently working on this. They've even got help from the FBI. You can find a poster on the FBI website for violent criminals or violent crimes. It's called VICAP. There's also a $20,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. So if you have any information to share about this case, you can contact the Belmont County Sheriff's Office at 740-312-8504.
And if you don't have any information but want to donate to a good cause, please consider donating to the Belmont County Animal Shelter. Tom and Angela had a love for animals, especially their beloved furry companions, Gracie, Isabella, and Polly.
I don't know what animals they are, whether they're dogs or cats, but they also perished in the fire.
Aww. So please consider making a donation to the Belmont County Animal Shelter in memory of Tom and Angela. The Belmont County Animal Shelter is a county-run facility. It houses 50 to 80 dogs and 50 to 80 cats. The shelter is kept open with the support and donations of the county. Their goal is to house, treat, and rehome animals in their care. They take in strays and owner surrenders. They also investigate humane complaints as well as dogs running at large. In addition to confinement or humane issues, they sell dog licenses, which also contributes to keeping the shelter open and running. To reduce costs, they have a small surgery room. Their facility has 30 indoor kennels, a receiving/puppy room, an isolation room, an open concept cat room with outdoor access, and a separate cat room for new cats. They also have 10 outdoor kennels. Every donation counts, and Tom and Angela believed in the mission and work of the Belmont County Animal Shelter.
That's really awesome, and I'm glad that we put that in there because we're huge dog people. Mm-hmm. We have a English Bulldog, a Boston Terrier, and a French Bulldog. It's a little bit much.
It is.
But we still love them. I happen to love the French Bulldog the most, but the other ones are great too. They're great pets too.
Yes.
I'm only saying that to get on your nerves.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's my dog. You're supposed to like
Yes.
your own dog better.
Yes, Fiona, the French Bulldog, is yours, and Murphy, the English Bulldog, is mine. However, we kind of like did a role reversal.
Yeah.
He likes you
Murphy
more, she
prefers-
likes me more.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody can relate to the companionship with pets. Well, kudos to the Belmont Animal Shelter, and kudos to the Cold Case Investigative Research Institute. If you go to their website and you start looking through stuff, they have a ton of information, not only for law enforcement agencies to receive help from them, but they're a nonprofit organization. They take in volunteers in the form of law enforcement personnel, victim advocates, pretty much anybody that is willing to volunteer. You can fill out an application and kind of do your part in helping them out to help law enforcement solve cold cases. They have actual articles of free training for law enforcement on there just so they can educate themselves. There's an entire section on victimology, which I think is really, really important. And, and speaking of victimology, there's something to be said about what the family must be going through here in this case, because they don't have answers. They don't probably know what the autopsy results were, so they don't even know how Tom and Angela, died. And so there's a certain level of questions that remain unanswered. And it's almost like, in a way, like a missing person. They have the answer of the final conclusion, but they don't know why or how or who. And that's just got to be really tough on any homicide survivor.
Like you said, I'm sure the police have not even shared that information with them because they don't want anyone to know. And I get that. That's part of their investigation, and they want to keep it confidential. But I mean, it's already hard enough to receive the news that you've lost 2 of your loved ones in a house fire, presumably is, what they think at first. But then to find out that there was foul play and it's actually a homicide, and you're asking the question, okay, well, what happened to them? And they can't tell them. I mean, that's hard.
I just want to take a second, too, to speak a little bit more about the victims and victim rights, because a lot of people don't know. If you're a victim of they call it VRA, Victim Rights Act, of a VRA crime, you have certain rights afforded to you being a victim. And a lot of people don't know, and I'll let you tell it because you know more about it than I do, how the Victim Rights Act came to be.
Well, it was actually started by former President Ronald Reagan when he was the attempted assassination of his life. And I think that was in 1981. So he had to go through the court process just like everybody else has to. And he quickly realized that victims don't have a voice in that process at all, especially in 1981. He's the president of the United States, and he felt like he didn't have a voice. So can you imagine just a regular everyday citizen going through that? They really have to feel like
they don't have
alone,
a voice,
right? Like they didn't have anything. Yeah. And so he decided, obviously that's not right. We need victims need to have a voice in this. And so he drafted, and it was approved in 1983, I believe, the Federal Victim Rights Act. So that's on the federal level. But most states, not every single state still to this day, but most states have adopted their own state level Victim Rights Act as well. And it does vary from state to state as far as, what is covered, who's considered a victim, those types of things. They might
What
be
is covered?
different.
You mean like victims' compensation?
Right. Or yeah, everything. Like, I mean, everything can vary. It's different from state to state. And like I said, not every state to this day has their own Victim Rights Act. So those states that don't, they just fall back under that umbrella of the Federal Victim Rights Act. But as a general, I guess, rule of thumb, obviously you have your immediate victims, which was Tom and Angela in this case. Those are the primary victims. But then, being that Tom and Angela are now deceased, the family, the next of kin, can now fall under that Victim Rights Act as victims in the case. And then they are eligible to receive, obviously, once there's an arrest made and a conviction and the person is sentenced, they then have like the rights of notification of when that person is moving from prison facility to prison facility, or whatever that looks like, or when they are up for parole, or
kind of every step of the way they're informed.
Mm-hmm. And so it begins before that conviction. Those are kind of post-conviction rights, but before they have a right to like a victim advocate to help guide them through the process, because even though we are familiar with the criminal justice system and we've worked in it, it's still confusing sometimes to us. So you can imagine somebody that's never had that experience, that's daunting when you get into that process. So part of those rights are having a victim advocate to help guide you. I mean, it can go as far as providing transportation to and from court hearings, providing transportation to counseling services, or money for counseling services. I mean, there's a huge umbrella of what is covered.
Yeah, it is a huge umbrella of what's covered. And like you said, I mean, I don't even really know everything that they offer, but from my own experience with victim advocates and the compensation that's available, I've seen victim advocates for my victims get victims out of leases to help them move, so they're not next to the perpetrator, or they're not discovered anymore.
Home security systems.
They've paid for moving companies to help them get moved to another place. Home security systems, Ring doorbells, giving them gift cards for Ubers, or ride sharing companies in order to get them to and from appointments, court dates. I've even had victim advocates drive a great distance to pick up a victim and bring them to me so that they can be interviewed. And I think the most important thing, at least for my, what I do with sex assault investigations, I think the important thing is understanding immediately that you have those rights, because one critical piece of a sex assault investigation, especially if it's fresh, is to do a sexual assault nurse examiner's examination. It's called a SANE exam, where it's an intrusive exam where they collect DNA evidence. That's what they're hoping for, to maybe identify or aid in the investigation. And a lot of people immediately say, I can't afford to go to the emergency room and have a procedure done. Well, no, you don't pay for that. This is covered. We are going to pay for that. You don't have to worry about it, because it's important to the investigation and finding justice for you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, yeah, in a nutshell, that's where the Victim Rights Act started. It's obviously come a long way in all those years, but it does still have a long way to go, right? I mean, it's 2024, and there are still several states that don't even have their own Victim Rights Act. So,
yeah, and I know we've had this conversation before, but I think it's, now is a good time to mention it specifically. And I know this case is a double homicide arson, but it's important to see like the true impact that victims have. A lot of times, especially with domestic violence cases and sex assault cases, you always say that the power and control is taken from them in the instance of the crime.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah.
all that is taken away from them throughout the court process and investigation process and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think it's really important to have those victim advocates, have that Victims' Rights Act in place to give them a voice, give them some sort of power and control back.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, so anyway, again, that number, if you have information on the case, to the Belmont County Sheriff's Office is 740-312-8504. Visit us on mysteriesandmimosas.net. I'm working on catching up the website. This one is going to be available because I've linked that cool Belmont animal shelter on Tom and Angela's page so that you can check that out and donate if you'd like. And I've also sent a link to that institute so you could read about victimology and the different awesome, cool things that institute is doing. And with that, check us out on Instagram at Mysteries and Mimosas Podcast, and follow us on Facebook, TikTok. Don't worry about Mimosa Max Discord server. That's Mimosa Max. Don't worry about that one. That's not a thing. And I don't have anything else. What do you have?
Nothing. I think
Okay,
that's
well, raising our glasses and cheers to Tom and Angela Strussion.
Cheers.
Cheers.